Hello, this is Mary Pat Campbell, a life actuary. I also go by the name of me. This is the Actuaries Longevity Illustrator, and I have used this in a video in the past, but it has been about 4 or 5 years. And I've decided I'm going to demonstrate this again. I'm going to do in this video just one person, and I'm just going to use myself as the example. I was born in 1974, so I'm turning 50 this year. To keep it simple, I'm just going to pretend I was born on January 1st so that I already turned 50. I'm going to show a couple different scenarios with this Longevity Illustrator as it stands in March of 2024. Show you how to interpret the results as I'm going to walk through a couple different choices for somebody born January 1st, 1974. So there's a couple of things here to try to get you to read it and how to cite it. But, you know, we just want to get started, so you just click on the Get Started button. Okay, so let's just enter. I'm going to put my name in, 01/01/1974. And let us pretend my first choice, let's keep it simple. I'm thinking that I'm going to retire at the age of 65. For right now, let me pick female, non-smoker, and I'll just say average health to keep this simple. And I'm going to view the results. So this is going to be my baseline. We'll look at the results, and then maybe we'll vary some of those input characteristics and see what happens. So here's just putting back to us the inputs. So now we're getting our charts, and this is what's called a survivorship curve or survivorship chart. It's giving probability. So my age currently, according to what I've put in, is 50. So what's my probability of living to at least age 65? It's actually pretty high. Now they're saying starting at your retirement age. If I say I'm going to retire at age 65, it's assuming I live to age 65. I actually might die between age 50 and 65, but it's just pretending that I do start at age 65. So it's already conditioned on assuming that I make it to age 65. So this is a really important concept to think about when you're doing this planning. So given that you live to age 65, what's the probability that you survive to different ages? And this is kind of important. So you can see that given certain assumptions, and you might want to go back and check, average health and, what were the mortality assumptions exactly. So female, non-smoker, average health, that an over 10% chance of reaching age 100, that would mean I have to plan for at least 35 years of retirement. Now, let's say I just kind of want to know on average how long I have to plan for. Well, if I go back to, like, say, the 50% line, and this is not the same as life expectancy, by the way, but we do care about median survivorship, which is 50%. So if I go over here for the 50% line, whoa, age 90. So I should say 50-50, planning to reach age 90 when I'm doing my retirement planning. So that's if I start at age 65. So that is assuming a 25-year retirement versus, say, a 35-year retirement. Okay, so if I'm thinking that's how long I have to take retirement income, that's how long I have to plan for. That's the next part. If I start at age 65, I have a 10% chance I need to plan for 35 years, or a 50% chance I have to plan for 25 years. If you're doing retirement planning and thinking, how long will this money last, or how long do I have to make it last? This is giving you an idea, how long you have to plan for. And some people really do not think of how long they need to plan for because they see in the news something like, oh, life expectancy is 77. No, there are two fallacies in there. And one is that it's life expectancy from birth. And it doesn't matter from birth if you're starting at age 65 at retirement, because there's all those years you didn't die. And then there's another even bigger fallacy, which I really don't want to spend time on, and that's all of the mortality assumptions to calculate that life expectancy. So we're not dealing with that today. So this is giving you an idea of how long you need to plan for. There's quite a bit of variation. So 90% chance that you're going to have to make that money last at least 11 years, 50% chance you have to make it last at least 25 years, and then 10% chance that you got to make it last at least 35 years. So you can kind of see the steepness of the curve, and I'll just go back to where we were here, of how fast it drops off past, age 85, and then it really starts to drop off. So 65, you make it to 70 pretty well, 75 and 80. You actually have a very good chance of making it to age 80, but then it really starts dropping off rapidly. So for each of the graphs they give you, they also give you a table with the numbers. This also helps you with the planning. So, you get the visual and you get the actual numerical. And again, you're going to get a curve as well. You may be wondering, why are you giving it to me redundantly these many ways? Actually, when it becomes 2 lives, you're going to see why. But probability of living a specified number of years, so this again is a survival curve, you could kind of see this, going down the curve. You start out at 100% when you retire. You're alive at that point. So again, we're ignoring all the possibilities of dying before you even retire, because then you don't have to worry if you're dead. But then there is a steepness past that 50%. You see there's kind of the sigmoid thing going on. But this is me assuming I'm going to retire at age 65. And I can click on View Conclusions, and I don't particularly care for that because I want to change the age at which I retire. I want to modify my data. What if instead of age 65, I'm just going to go extreme. What if I retired at age 55? Much younger. What's going to happen now? So remember, I had a 10% chance of making it, about a 10% chance of making it to age 100 if I retired at age 65. Remember, that's assuming I made it to age 65. Now, if I retired at age 55, I could die between age 55 and 65. The prior thing assumed I didn't. So let's see what happens now. Where's the 50% cutoff point? Before it was at age 90. Where's the 50% cutoff point for this one? Okay, but that also meant if I retired at age 65, the median retirement period, like how many years I had to plan for, was 25, because that was to age 90. So let's see what it is for age 55. And again, the curve is about the same, and it actually didn't like this. Retirement age 55, they don't like you starting at 55. They start graphing it at 65 the way this is set up. So you can see the survivorship at age 65 is a little bit under 100. Okay, fair enough, but the survivorship to age 100 is still about 10%. Fair enough, but the survivorship to 90 is a little bit below 50%. Okay, still, it's pretty close to where the median is of how long I would have to plan for. Would have to be about 10 years beyond that 25, so like 35 years that I would have to plan for. So I have, but not 35 exactly, it's more like 34. So The median retirement I would have to plan for if I retired at age 55 would be 34 years. I might have to go as much as 45, that's to age 100. I have a 90%, I need to do at least 16 years for 90% of the time. But yeah, 34 years, that's my median. But really, if I want to do well, I have to do better than 50%. I'd need like 40 or 45 years worth of retirement income if I retired at age 55. And this is, people don't realize how long people are surviving for, unless you are in very poor health. And I'll go back and modify that. But even so, with improvements in medicine, you can be living a very long time to very old ages, relatively. You hear life expectancy 77. No. That's not what your retirement age to death is going to be. It's going to be more like age 90, not 77. Definitely not as a female. Okay, so again, 50% of retirement period of about 34 years, and you get a similar curve. I want to modify the data. So if you just want to change like one or two of the items as opposed to like the whole thing in terms of gender, smoking, etc., etc. Let's say instead of 65, I want to do, 75 below extreme, maybe 70. So push it up from 65 to 70 for retirement age. So let's review results. I'm just doing average health, by the way, through all of this. Okay, and before I get into this, I want you to notice they're using the pre-pandemic mortality assumptions, and they are assuming future mortality improvement using Society of Actuaries MP 2021 scale. Just basically assuming future mortality improves as opposed to disimproves. Okay, so if I'm assuming retirement at age 70, that means 100% survival up to age 70, because you have to survive up until retirement age, and then you can start to, quote, decrement. Now, again, the curves are pretty similar in that 50% breakoff point is still pretty close to 90. So at 90, it's 53. It's not that different. The 5 years difference doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So that 50% planning, so instead of having to plan for 25 years with a 50% chance, it's 20 years with a 50% chance. By delaying retirement by 5 years, makes sense. It is almost linear in this case. By myself, 5 more years in terms of how many years I need retirement income for. So that's actually pretty good to know. How long do I need retirement income for? How secure do I have to feel about my situation? Let's do one of the more extreme ones. And this is, okay, so a male smoker in poor health, and let's not do retirement age 70. Let's just do 60. Let's do 65. Okay, so male smoker, poor health. So remember, in general, I had a 50% chance of reaching age 90. For someone born 1974, female, average health, non-smoker. It's not going to be that, as you can imagine, for a male. Even starting with, it's pretty brutal, this survivorship curve. Even surviving to age 65, you can see this steepness going off, and that 50, oh goodness, that's awful. Smoking is actually the parameter that really does it for this set of parameters. Actually, I shouldn't have changed all of them at once. Let me just go back. That wasn't fair. let me change it back to female and average and just change it and 65. Okay. So let's view the results, just the smoker part. Okay. So before I had about a 50% chance at age 90. Now where's the 50% chance? Okay, it's somewhere between 80 and 85. Because you see 90 is like a 25% chance of survivorship. Okay. Smoking has a huge mortality impact. So if you don't want to have a long retirement, be a heavy smoker. Sorry, it's the truth. But yes, 50%, it was 17. If it was, this is from, sorry, age, trying to remember, age 65. So if it was age 65, before it was 25 years, it took basically 8 years off the retirement. 8 years difference, just the smoking. So that was just something to know. I'm going to modify that back and get rid of the smoking impacts. This is why smoking was added, is because it has such a huge impact. Let's just change from female to male, and we're keeping on average. I don't care about poor and good health because that is based on specific parameterization. So again, we had 50% at 90, and now it's 40% at 90 for going from female to male. So the 50% hits, let's find the 50%. Instead of 25, it's 22. So it's about a 3-year difference in retirement, male versus female. I mean, and that's just the current set. It wasn't always the same sex gap in terms of mortality, but a lot of people do not realize, yes, we have sex gaps, we do have racial gaps in mortality and that kind of thing in the US, but the sex gap is bigger than the racial gap with regards to like life expectancy and retirement and that kind of thing. Because, for example, life expectancy for Black females in the US is higher than for white males. It's the truth. In any case, this is a fairly small set of very key parameters, and it gives you an idea that for many people, certain aspects may be shorter, may be longer than you expect. This is just for a single person. And I'm just keeping it to this, to keep this to be a relatively short video, because once you get it to 2 people, it gets much more complicated. Because when it is with respect to a couple, you need retirement income lasting till the second person in a couple dies. And that involves a lot of different probability combinations when one plans for that. So that is a much more complicated situation when one is doing retirement planning. So, you know, this is not a very complicated tool to play with. They are giving you more or less the same information multiple ways, you know, in case you need different ways to visualize it in your mind, and just keeping in mind that, you know, they're trying to give you a range of values to give you an idea of the range of values that you would need to plan for, that it might be plus or minus 10 years from an expected number of years of retirement income in retirement, for example. And there may be various ways and various financial instruments you may want to use, or different approaches to retirement planning. And one of the key choices that you may make, and sometimes you don't have a choice, I understand, but one of the key choices you make as an individual is when to start taking that retirement income. If you can put it off for, say, 5 years, or maybe 2 or 3 years, you buy yourself some time, and you give yourself, you know, because a lot of times once you start taking that income, you know, You lose some flexibility later on. And there are various financial solutions people go out there and try to develop for the market, but some have been more or less successful in finding consumer interest, as we shall say. In any case, I'm just here to educate. I'm not here to sell any particular product. Just want you to understand. You can see this is like the central, 22, but there's a wide range of where it can end up. So just something for you to keep in mind. Go to longevityillustrator.org. That will get you to this Actuaries Longevity Illustrator. Try it out. They've got some words around it and this, that, and the other, but I thought, someone with a video demonstrating to you and explaining some of the numbers in situ, applying to me, who's going to be 50 soon. And by the way, my own plan is, probably around age 70 or so, because of, maybe age 75 if I can, because they change when we have to take certain retirement income. So I'm going to put it off as long as I can because it gives me maximum flexibility. But a lot of people don't get a choice because of disability. So that's something to keep in mind. You might not be given the choice when the time comes. A lot of us, you have a health incident and then you don't have a choice. So something to think about. Okay? So play with the tool. You can try a lot of different things out just to see how it may go.